More than 50 people have been killed in one of the deadliest strikes on Ukraine since Russia launched its full-scale invasion 2.5 years ago. Ukrainian officials say a military training facility was hit by ballistic missiles, causing parts of the building to collapse. A nearby hospital was also struck in the city of Poltava. Defence personnel are among the 51 confirmed to have been killed so far. More than 270 people have been injured and others are still trapped. Residents say they had little time to react.
I heard a sound, a rocket flying. I'm a bit used to this. I managed to hide, run out into the corridor, and the cats followed me. There were two powerful explosions, one after the other. Everything flew out of the cupboards. The cereal was scattered. Everything was in the glass.
Poltava is in central eastern Ukraine and it is the capital of the region bearing the same name. Residents have rushed to donate blood at the local hospital, where many of the wounded are being treated. Ukraine's president has vowed to hold what he calls Russian scum accountable for the attack.
Law enforcement agencies and the Ministry of Defence of Ukraine are investigating all the circumstances of this tragedy. The Russians carried out this strike with 2 ballistic missiles. The air raid alert was sounded. Everything else, every detail, must be established and verified during the investigation.
Russia has intensified its attacks on Ukraine after Kyiv made its daring incursion across the border into Russia a month ago. Along with howitzer weapons, Moscow is increasingly bombarding Ukraine with ballistic missiles, which can reach targets hundreds of kilometres away within a few minutes after launch. Ukraine has repeatedly called for the West to bolster its air defences so that it can counter the Kremlin's attacks and strike deeper into Russian territory. Dozens of Ukrainian cities and towns have been hit in the past week. Here, rescuers work to find survivors of a deadly strike that hit a hotel in the southeastern city of Zaporizhia. A 38-year-old woman and her 8-year-old son were killed. The woman's husband and teenage daughter were taken to hospital.
There was an explosion 2 minutes after the air alert was declared. We had no time to hide. There was a very powerful explosion. We heard people screaming.
I thought it was my last moments, and when I came to my senses, I started looking around my apartment and realised that the curtains in my kitchen had been ripped off and the windows smashed. I heard the screams of a man who was injured. He was crying and screaming so much.
The head of the United Nations nuclear watchdog is concerned about the attacks in the area. Rafael Grossi has been meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky and top energy officials in Kyiv before his scheduled visit to Zaporizhia. He says the situation at Europe's largest nuclear power plant, which is currently under Russian control, remains fragile.
Some days we have some stability, and then the next day there is an event, an issue, a drone impact, or like today we had one of the 2 existing power lines down, which means that the station is again on the verge of being on a blackout. We had 8 of those in the past, as you know. So I would tend to agree when we say that the situation is very serious indeed.